Another good episode. This is one written
I'm
by.
impressed.
This is one written.
Here's the crazy part: Sabine wasn't in it.
No. Okay. Is that a good thing? All right. So this
Read
one is
my
written by and directed by Dave Filoni. All right. This is episode 5 of Ahsoka, called Shadow Warrior. Okay. We can't wait to talk about this one. All right. We are FATHER.SON.GALAXY. I am Kerwin. This is Keith.
Hello there.
Thank you. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We ask if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Hang around, listen to us, comment if you're listening to us live, or if you're going to listen to us later, comment at any time. We love your comments. All right. And for those of you who've been here before, welcome back. Thank you. This is going to be a fun time. So let's just chill, relax, and just say what's on our mind. Without offending
Here's what's
anybody.
on my mind. I would like
without
to go
offending
to,
anybody.
I would like to go to sleep.
Okay, all right. Well, let's just come on. Let's hang in there. All right. So, what exactly happened to Ahsoka? There's a lot of theories out there. Yeah, I think they left it up to interpretation.
They didn't explain it well, and that infuriated me. But I feel as if we deserved an explanation. Because it made no sense that the place Ahsoka was formatted like it's the world between worlds, but it's not, because it's someplace, I don't know, in or outside of space-time. I don't get it.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's okay to leave things to people's interpretations. It's not always the writer's job to, spoon feed you every single thing.
I mean, they're writing the show.
Yeah. Well, I know, but I think what they're trying to do is, we're all smart enough to determine, draw our own conclusions, right? So here's what I think. And it's the same thing that I said last week. Ahsoka, her body has gone through some trauma. She was, thrown off the cliff, fell down into the ocean.
Boromir Part 3.
Yeah, so she is immobilized, but, the brain function, she is seeing visions of a loved one who has been long gone, and that is Anakin Skywalker. All right.
A lot of people keep getting thrown off cliffs, like Gamora, Black Widow, now Ahsoka.
That's a very good point.
What is happening? And it's all within Disney.
Do you think Disney has a plan to get rid of characters, or just throw them off the cliff? I think Disney just
kind of has this corroboration where they're like, we could just throw these people off cliffs.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'll tell you something. So
this on a quick tangent, by the way.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna be petty for a second.
Oh no!
How did Captain America going back in time and
America?
Yeah, how did Captain America going back in time not affect space time? Because Captain America.
No, okay. Now you're in the wrong. I'll explain to you why. You just told me a week ago. I said to you, time traveling is very difficult to do, and there's no movie out there that's done it well. And you told me that Avengers Endgame did do it well. Now you're bashing the movie.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking about it. I'm thinking, how is it that Captain America going back in time did not affect the events of First Avenger, The Avengers, Age of Ultron, Infinity War, so-and-so? Mm-hmm. Like, one of the most crucial parts is in Age of Ultron, because by then, Cap would have been 100 years old, and he's fighting like normal, which wouldn't make sense. So, if he were fighting like he was 100-year-old man, then that would literally mean that he was like 100 years old fighting a sentient alien robot type thing. And then his job was to guard the body of Vision while Black Widow stalled for time.
Okay.
So we saw in What If, there was an entire episode about if he hadn't done that, then Ultron would have gotten to Vision's body and transformed the two of them into Infinity Ultron and then conquered multiverses.
Yeah. When do you plan to start talking about Ahsoka? Episode 5?
About now.
Okay. All right. One day you and I've said this before, I know we haven't done it yet, we need to do a rewatch of Endgame, Infinity War and Endgame, and then maybe we'll do some type of an analysis. But that's for another time.
Hey, at least when Endgame got rid of characters, they did it in a very sentimental send-off.
Understood.
Instead of basically leaving all of their development on the floor of the writer's room, like with the Flash,
okay, so now we
literally
finally get to a
fundamentally
point
destroying
where
their character like they did with Peter Parker.
Looking to see Anakin and Ahsoka together on the screen, right, in live action. What was this conversation going to be about? What are they going to say? What's going to happen? And we finally know. So basically, Anakin is trying to teach Ahsoka a lesson. All right. Let's get into what this conversation was about. I thought it was very interesting. Okay. So can we start there? Okay. So one thing that Anakin said when he saw Ahsoka, at the end of the last episode, he says, "Well, I'm, surprised to see you here so soon." Okay. And then he says that he is here to finish her training. And I said, "Oh, wow, that's very interesting because you're right. She never finished her Jedi training because she left the Jedi, which we know the story about that. So this would be the perfect opportunity to show her, to train her so that she would now become a full-fledged Jedi." And it brought me to that episode with Kanan when he went to that Jedi temple, and he also was put through a test in order to be knighted a Jedi. So I thought maybe that this is what was going to happen, but nah, not necessarily. So that's not what happened.
No.
All right. So now you want to say something?
Just gonna say it's
okay about Ahsoka.
Yes.
The episode.
Okay.
Ahsoka. All right. Go ahead.
See, now I forgot.
Okay. Well, don't worry about it. All right. So then he says to her, "Okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to live or die?" Okay. Now, to me, Anakin comes off as the light side Anakin and the dark side Anakin. All right. So what he's trying to offer to Ahsoka is if you choose the light, that means you want to live. But if you want to die, that means you choose darkness. And he's bringing both. Okay. So now Ahsoka says, "Well, I don't want to fight you." He challenges her, and then she has to defend herself. And then all of a sudden, we're in the war between worlds, right? Okay, like you said, space and time doesn't matter. World between worlds, they're having this clash.
Is it the world between worlds?
And then, well, okay, that's what we need to find out, right? Maybe it wasn't. I'm thinking it's just a vision. She is traumatized and she is seeing a vision of Anakin Skywalker. So
yeah, but if anything, if she's seeing a vision of Anakin Skywalker, you'd think Malachor would be what came to mind. That was probably the most traumatic experience Ahsoka's ever had because she saw her former master as this force of evil. That's just thinking that he turned to the dark side literally made Ahsoka pass out. So you'd think, if anything, the world between worlds was less traumatizing than most of the things Ahsoka's been through.
Yeah. Well, that's a very good point. So, Ahsoka's been through a lot. Let's just be honest, all right? She's seen a lot of wars,
especially as
a lot of battles. Absolutely. From the time she was 14 years old. So it was hard to determine exactly what she is visioning at the time. So they couldn't show you all the battles that she's been a part of. So they only show you 2 events, right? And let me know out there, anyone on the live stream who has an idea as to why these 2, out of all the battles and wars that Ahsoka has been through, why these 2? I think I know why, but I just like to hear from other people. So the first event is one of her early lessons, right? So she, again, 14 years old. This was a Clone War battle. She's on a first mission with Anakin, and she has no idea what's going on. And it's just, it's literally a war. There's blast of fire going off, and she's running, and she doesn't know what's happening. She's so young. Just imagine that. I guess it really didn't occur to me in the animated series how young she was, but here in the live action, you just feel for her like she's just dropped in the middle of this war. Okay. And so she's asking the questions, well, why am I here? What is this about?
Going through the motions.
Yeah. Obviously. And Anakin is telling her, well, he's trying to teach her how to lead, how to be a soldier, how to survive, and how to fight. What happens if she stops fighting? Ahsoka says she wants to stop fighting. Well, then Anakin says, well, if you stop fighting, then you die. Well, that's not what.
And he marches off into the cloud of smoke and becomes Vader for 2 seconds.
Now, wasn't that awesome? That's awesome. So you got this flash of Anakin walking, along with the clone troopers, and then all of a sudden, a snap, he's Vader, and then snap, he's back to Anakin. That was wonderful. That was absolutely fantastic. Right. Um, and there was something that was very, very interesting. A question that Anakin asked Ahsoka. He said, it was a joke, but I think I want to talk about this a little bit more because this could be telling as to what could happen in Ahsoka's future. So when Ahsoka, is when Anakin is explaining to Ahsoka about, this is war, this is, what you need to know how to lead. This is what at this point in time Jedi are generals or commanders in this military, and she needs to know how to survive, how to fight. Ahsoka says, "Is that all I have to teach my own Padawan one day how to fight?" Anakin's response, very interesting. Do you even want a Padawan? Do you want to go into this? I mean, I have this in my notes later on, but since we're bringing it up, do you think Ahsoka even really needs a Padawan right now?
No.
Is he maybe
I'll
Anakin's trying to tell her something?
Sabine was a good character in Rebels, but after Episode 4, that entire arc just kind of went off the same cliff Ahsoka and Gamora did. Funny thing is, funnily enough, Ariana Greenblatt played both Gamora and Ahsoka, so I guess it's just a staple of her characters that they get thrown off cliffs.
Yeah, well,
for some reason.
That is very interesting, isn't it? So shout out to Adriana Greenblatt. Since you brought her up, do you want to tell people who she is? Because when you said Adriana Greenblatt, I didn't know who she was, but you do.
Yeah, she was from Disney, actually. Disney Channel. She was on Stuck in the Middle as the youngest sister.
Okay. And then you also know that she played Gamora in Avengers. And that was a very memorable and heartbreaking scene, after the snap and Thanos has wiped out half of Earth's population, and he comes back to his daughter Gamora, and she says, "Well, is it done?" And he says, "Well, yes." And then she asks a question, "What did it cost you?" Everything. Yeah. Unforgettable moment. Okay, so Ariana, I think I said Adriana, but Ariana Greenblatt, her star's on the rise, so we'll be seeing more of her. And she's also in the Barbie movie, I heard, which we have not seen yet. If anyone's seen it, let me know what you think. All right. So I thought it was a very good question. So I want to talk about this. Does she even need a Padawan?
Yeah.
Right. So I agree with you.
Sabine's put her in more danger as her Padawan than she was being a member of the Rebels crew.
Yeah.
Sabine didn't used to be like this. I get that grief drives a person to do things you never would have thought they could have done before.
Yeah.
Like, Sabine didn't used to be so reckless. She was reckless, but, she still valued teamwork. She wasn't about to literally ditch her friend to go find somebody who could have been gone this entire time. He could be on another planet. He could be fighting Thrawn right now, or Thrawn could have captured him. We don't know, but she's holding out hope for somebody who's been gone for the better part of 10 years. And what is she doing?
Are you talking about Ahsoka?
No, Sabine.
Sabine, yeah.
So, why did Ahsoka need Sabine as a Padawan in the first place?
Right.
And she also never showed any Force sensitivities, but Jacen, on the other hand, Jacen Syndulla, he's already surrounded by power. Like, his mom is a general. He's around all senators all the time. He's trained to be a pilot with Hera and Chopper. So I feel like he honestly would have been a better candidate because he's Force sensitive, and Hu Yang even calls out his father was a Jedi.
Yes, that's true. That's true. All right, so here's what I think is going to happen with Sabine and Ahsoka, Master Padawan. I think they're going to part ways. All right, they're going to come to a conclusion that maybe this Padawan Master thing between the two of them is not working out. One. You're right. Sabine is not Force sensitive, and I know we've talked about how it Depends on.
I'll be honest, this force sensitivity thing isn't even what I'm harping on anymore. Like, I don't even care that she's not force sensitive. I was fine with her being trained to be a lightsaber, but she literally turned her back to Ahsoka when she needed her. And if it weren't for the fact that Ahsoka was in touch with the Force, she could have just drowned, and it was hours before the New Republic got there to help sweep all over the place for her multiple times. It only takes like 5 minutes for the water to fill your lungs, so for all Sabine knew, she's just leaving Ahsoka there to die, and she was completely okay with this to find somebody who could have been dead for all this time, even though we know he isn't.
Yeah.
So what was her motivation? Like, if there's somebody who you can actively save, like a bird in one hand is better than two in the bush, It's better to have something that is there rather than to go on a wild goose chase to find something that could have been gone this entire time.
Yeah, it concerns me that Sabine didn't do more to see whether Ahsoka was alive or not.
So I do think they're gonna have to part ways.
Yeah.
And that's definitely gonna be a lot of high stakes and tension between Sabine and Ahsoka, mostly on Ahsoka's part, because she put her life in Sabine's hands, and oh my god, Hu Yang looked devastated.
Yeah.
Like, he's holding this helmet. I've never seen a droid look so sad.
He wanted them to stick
and
together.
He's like, I told them to stay together, but they never listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. Which again says to me the master apprentice or Padawan relationship between Ahsoka and Sabine is not working. So,
and that's too bad.
And honestly, I think they're better off being who they are. Sabine is a fantastic warrior already. She's a Mandalorian. She knows how to fight. She knows how to battle. She doesn't need to become a Jedi.
She doesn't need a lightsaber either. Like, giving Sabine a lightsaber just makes her character too overpowered. Because even though she's not force sensitive, she has a jetpack.
Yeah.
She has two blasters. She has a rangefinder, Mandalorian armor. And then to add a lightsaber onto that, she could take on the likes of the Mandalorian at that point, because she has similar gear.
Right.
The only thing Mando has that she doesn't is that pulverizer rifle.
Yeah.
That thing that he used on the Jawas in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
When he just kind of turned them into dust.
Yes, it disintegrated them.
The Thanos rifle.
Yes. Okay. All right. So right before we get to Q&A, I just wanted to say one more thing that let's go to Q&A. Let's go to Q&A, and then we'll pick it up.
Was that the one more thing you wanted to
No,
say?
it wasn't. That's all right. Ariana Greenblatt did a great job as Child Ahsoka. She's done amazing in Infinity Wars, Young Gamora, Barbie as Sasha, and now Ahsoka. Yeah, Ariana Greenblatt she's a rising star, it looks to me, right? I thought she did very well. And she's been acting since she was, 6 years old, maybe?
I don't know.
And Stuck in the Middle, she was very young.
That was 2016?
Yeah, so she's, I think she's about 16.
Yeah, thereabout.
Yeah, okay. All right. And then? Okay, what? Eric says, I thought you were going to read it. Eric says, it's her first and last battle before Order 66. That's what I said. That's what I was thinking.
I noticed that second fight was a battle of Mandalore, mostly because of Ahsoka's outfit. It's so much easier to tell because she has a different outfit from season 1 and the movie up until season 5, and then season 7 she gets the blue outfit with the blue sabers. We actually have a Funko Pop of that and a Lego minifigure of that one.
But Eric has a good point, because we wanted to see Ahsoka's growth, right? So we wanted to see who she was as a 14-year-old, in a battle or early battle and not knowing what to do and confused and scared, to this cunning warrior in the Siege of Mandalore, with 2 lightsabers, wiping people out, and she's moving around and she is skilled,
By the way,
top of her game.
Something I noticed, Ahsoka seems to be adapting her style during combat, because when she was fighting with Baylan and during her first fight with Anakin, she's using 1 saber, and then once we hit the Siege of Mandalore, she's using 2 sabers again. Mm-hmm. And then in her second fight with Anakin, she once again returned to her 2 lightsaber style, but she had 2 sabers readily available. So why was she only using one in a lot of these fights? I feel like having two lightsabers would have been so overpowered that she would have easily won against somebody who seems as inexperienced as Balin. Like Ahsoka's been through multiple wars, including like the Second Battle of Geonosis, Battle of Mandalore, Order 66, and she was right in the middle of it. She
Yeah.
even managed to save a clone trooper.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like they just kind of needed to make it believable why she needed to lose the fight so we could meet Anakin, but that didn't make sense that, she only used one saber. And I get why she used one saber after she picked up the map, because she burned her hand. She was at a disadvantage because grabbing anything would make it hurt more because you're putting pressure with some hard, cold metal object onto a fresh burn, which isn't good. So I got it then, but at the beginning, if she just used two lightsabers, then she would have easily defeated Balin. She could have been the one putting him over a cliff.
True. All right. Other Q&As. Alice, question: could this be more of a metaphorical meaning? Not necessarily Ahsoka wanting to die, but finding a way to move past the guilt and pain, and finding a way to move forward and heal and live her life. Yeah, to me, I think it's about, first of all, Ahsoka wanting to live, but fighting for her own life, because right now we don't even, she is near death, and we don't know if she's going to make it out. So I
Well,
think the
was.
question was, yeah. So the question for Anakin is, do you want to live? Do you want to? Because if you want to live, if you want to survive, you got to fight to stay alive, because you have so much more to do, so much more work to do.
And I will say something. The something I'm enjoying about Ahsoka is that this takes place at a completely unprecedented time. It's not like we see Ahsoka return in The Rise of Skywalker, and we know that she has to survive, but we don't know about so so. Like nobody knows what will happen to Ahsoka, and I feel like that ups the stakes. They're not gonna get rid of Ahsoka, of course not, because that's like Dave Filoni's child right there. Nobody's gonna take out Ahsoka. Nobody has the guts to do that. But it just adds some stakes to the story, some depth that we don't know the fate of the character set in concrete because they make later appearances. It's kind of like, the story can be written however they want it to.
Yeah, very good. All right, any more Q&A? Okay. Eric says, I think Shin will kill her master. Oh, Balin? Wow. And sacrifice herself for the heroes. Interesting.
Bold
Yeah,
theory, but I don't think Shin. I think Shin's kind of a static character at this point in the show. Like she doesn't seem to be developing any sort of connection to the heroes. It's not like she doesn't want to fight them because she's eager to fight Sabine. I mean, in the first episode, she literally plunged her sword straight through Sabine's stomach. So, I mean,
yeah.
I feel like she doesn't have any reason to sacrifice herself. I
I've
mean, I'm feeling that the most valid part of that theory is her taking out her master. I feel like that's the Sith way. That's how Palpatine rose to his power,
Mhm.
and that's what
Yeah,
Vader did later on. But
right.
I think, like I said, I had a theory earlier where maybe Balin's goal is to get Thrawn and get into his good graces, and then take out Thrawn and claim all that power for himself.
Yeah.
But maybe Shin is going to step in there somewhere and take him out. The only thing is, I don't think Shin's on equal footing as Balin. Like her force abilities don't seem to be used much either. She'll mostly use like basic force pushes and pulls. But other than that, she's not really. Oh, and that force choke from episode 4. But other than that, she doesn't seem to be using it much. If anything, she's less sympathetic than Balin, because when Shin started force choking Sabine, Balin's the one who told her to cut that out and let Sabine live.
Yeah.
So if anything, Balin's more sympathetic than her.
Uh, I do agree with you. I don't think Shin can hold a candle to Balin. I don't think she's as strong as Balin. So this, to me, is no way that she'd be able to take Balin out. Now, speaking of theories, I also heard a theory that, because of the age gap between Balin and Shin, that they could be father and daughter. I don't know if that's true.
Well, they have different last names.
Well, true, right? Okay, which
I mean, honestly, that doesn't mean anything because Miles has a different last name than his dad.
Right. Well, whether they're related or not, they have a strong
Miles Morales. I mean,
they have a strong bond, and I can't see Shin for any reason going up against her master and taking him out.
Yeah, me neither. Well, I feel like that's the most believable part of the theory. Yeah. I just don't think that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. What I see happening more is that Shin is going to be taken down either by Ahsoka or by Sabine, and that's going to set Balin off.
I feel like maybe something that might happen is maybe Sabine exacts revenge, and then after that, Balin's like, "I'm going to attack you," and then there's this awesome final fight. Maybe there'll be like a 4-way fight. Now, something that's kind of awkward is that we already had a 4-way fight. It was Ahsoka versus Merrick and Sabine versus Shin. They're really setting up this conflict of Sabine versus Shin, the battle of the S's. But Ahsoka and Balin, on the other hand, they never really had like a 4-way fight between Ahsoka, Sabine, and Shin and Balin, even though these are the biggest villains and biggest heroes of the show. I don't know. And Merrick got eliminated by Ahsoka like last episode, and he just turned out to be full of gas.
Literally. Okay, can we continue with the Siege of Mandalore? Because some very good dialogue taking place between Ahsoka and Anakin. All right. So once again, as Eric pointed out, that this is Ahsoka's last battle right before Order 66, and she has matured. And then we see and hear Commander Rex, right? Nice work, Commander. Tamara Morrison. All right, that's the voice of you. Right? I thought it was D. Bradley, but it was Tamara Morrison.
I figured they're trying to keep it up with the live action continuity.
Well, that makes sense.
Like, if it's live action, it's going to be Tamara. Right. But if it's animated, it's going to be D.
Bradley Bay.
And that might also be because of the age gap at that point in time. Like, this would be... Actually, no.
No, I think you're on the right track. Yeah,
he would have been just stepping into the role by the time of season 7. He would have been the perfect age to play that Rex.
Right. Yeah. If you want to be consistent, you're going to keep Tamara Morrison in live action.
Yeah.
All right. So now Anakin is walking around and he says that he is unaware of this battle, and we know why, because he wasn't there.
Yeah, he was off with the Chancellor.
That's exactly right.
I like that little callback, honestly. Just kind of a test of your reflexes for any of you Star Wars fans out there. But here's the thing. If he wasn't familiar with the battle, how did he bring Ahsoka there? Like, I'm sure he heard about the Siege of Mandalore, but how would he have known that exact place? I know Ahsoka went to Mandalore because he gave her the lightsabers right before Ahsoka left, but how would you know the exact place to go to? Did he just scan the planet in preparation for Ahsoka coming?
No,
or did he just like kind of Hypixel Atlas himself over to wherever Ahsoka was?
No, these are Ahsoka's visions. This is Ahsoka's.
So he's just going through Ahsoka's memories.
Right, exactly. So Ahsoka is taking him on her journey, right? And this is
Ahsoka's taking Anakin on a journey, but Anakin's leading her through her own memories. In a way.
Yeah.
Also.
Yes. But that's how dreams work, right? Because you really can't control who's in your dream, what's going to be said, the setting, most dreams don't even make sense, right?
Also, I'm kind of understanding why Ahsoka doesn't want to fight anymore. I mean, if you've been fighting for like 30 years, ever since the beginning of the Clone Wars, and so on and so forth up until now, I feel like 30 years of fighting would have worn me out too. So I don't know if there'll be a season 2 of Ahsoka. I am really hoping there will be. But I feel like, in a way, if this is the note they're going with, like Ahsoka's tired of fighting, and this is like, one last hurrah for her missions, then.
Yeah, I doubt this will only be one season. I think we're going to keep this going for a little bit.
Oh, of
All
course
right,
we are.
Q&A. Let's go to Q&A. What do we have? You guys are the best. You both rock. D. Thank you, Miss Cole. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, wonderful. Thank you. So we have Alex. Perhaps this Anakin is a spirit and maybe the supernatural all omnipresent, though Curran's theory of him going through her memories works too.
Mm.
Yeah, it's really, it's left to interpretation, as we said at the beginning. I really can't tell you. This is how I'm seeing it, but someone else may see it differently.
All right,
Charlie. Hello, Charlie.
Baylan does seem a man of honor somewhat, even though bad guy. I do like that Ray Stevenson has nailed this role.
Yeah, he's
I think so
fantastic.
too. Honestly, I feel like Baylan having kind of an honor makes sense in the sense that he was trained in the Jedi Order. And even though after 30 some odd years, that training might have washed away, some of it stuck. Honestly, it stuck with Ahsoka, and it certainly stuck with Huyang, even though he was teaching for like 10,000 years, so of course it did.
Yeah.
It was literally, what's he, 15,000 years old?
Oh, I don't know.
It's either 1,500
older than Yoda.
or 15,000.
Yeah.
But he's definitely older than Yoda,
Mm-hmm.
which means he's probably met Yoda's.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so just add 12 greats to
Yes,
grandparents.
right.
And
Generations
assuming they all lived
of
to be
Yoda
like
species.
1,000 years old.
Yeah, we don't know. All right. So I want to talk about, I want to take some of the quotes from their time on the Siege of Mandalore. So Anakin, of course, is impressed with her skills, and he says to her, "Within you will be everything I am, all the knowledge I possess, just as I inherited knowledge from my master and he from his. You're part of a legacy."
Honestly, he's not wrong. There's
Sure.
kind of a lineage here.
Yeah.
Yoda trained Dooku, and Dooku trained Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon trained Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon was looking forward to training Anakin, but he didn't get to because Darth Maul gave him just a pew, and then Obi-Wan gave Maul the half-off deal, and he trained Anakin, and then Anakin trained Ahsoka, and Ahsoka went off her own way to train Sabine, but then Anakin had a child with Padme, and that turned out to be Luke, and then he had another child named Leia Poppins, who happened to develop Force abilities later on in the story, and then Luke met Yoda, the Frogman, and then he also met Obi-Wan, his father's master. And then they both became Force ghosts. They became one with the Force. And then he met his father, and his father got rid of his master, who happened to be the very person who was running the old company that he used to work for. He just transferred to a new department. They were making some changes. And then he passed away. And then Luke tried to train new younglings, but he ended up training Ben Solo, who turned evil and got rid of his fat dad for an unfair reason. And then he tried to save his mom for some reason in literally the next movie. I thought they were going on some arc with Kylo Ren, but they didn't. And then another TIE pilot shot that bay
And
of
Ahsoka
the
said,
ship, and then Leia floated back into space. And then we got Rey.
and then Ahsoka
She
said,
exists.
"My part of that legacy is one of death and war." Now, the reason why she's saying that is because that's what Baylan said to her the episode before, right? So Baylan Skull, your legacy, like your master, is one of death and destruction, and she believes that, right? And which is sad. So Ahsoka, so with Ahsoka telling that to Anakin, Anakin's response to that is, "You're more than that because I'm more than that." Now, what I'm not sure of is
look at
if
that
this
little
Anakin,
ego boost that Anakin buried into that compliment.
if this Anakin is aware of who he becomes.
Oh, it's
After.
Anakin.
So do you think
Like
this
it's
Anakin knows?
Anakin.
So Anakin knows that he became Darth Vader?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not like
Gotcha.
a time remnant version of
Okay.
Anakin.
Mhm.
It's like the Anakin.
It's the Anakin that's
the
been
Anakin
through everything from
who we've seen in all of Star Wars.
Return of
it's
the
that
Jedi,
Anakin.
his redemption. Yes.
It's the ROTJ redemption Anakin.
Okay, right. Okay. So maybe Anakin could have said more. Like he could have said, "I understand what you're saying, I know I've done some bad things, but my son redeemed me. Something like that, right? To connect everything so that we know that this Anakin has has risen, he's fallen, he's risen again, right?
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
To add to what you're saying about this maybe being a different Anakin, like maybe Ahsoka's dream version
Yes.
of Anakin, like the version of Anakin that she last saw and the version that she knows becomes
Right.
Vader, not our version of Anakin.
Right.
This might be Anakin from Ahsoka's perspective.
That's correct.
As in the one she grew up and trained with, the one that later became Vader, the one that she fought on Malachor and barely escaped from that fight with.
Yeah.
I think that's this Anakin.
Okay.
Her Anakin, rather than our Anakin, Luke's Anakin.
Okay. All right.
So
see that I wasn't sure about that. All right.
So yeah,
but,
I think this is like Ahsoka's dream version of Anakin, like the dream remnant of Anakin for Ahsoka.
Right, because she has never she's seen him as Vader, but she wasn't sure when they had that battle on Malachor that could have been my master, but she didn't know, and I think she was
she's
traumatized.
Sure now.
Well, she's sure
Remember
now.
when
Yeah.
she cracked the helmet?
Well, of course she's sure now because this is many years later, and now that she's had a conversation with Luke Skywalker, Luke has explained everything to her at this point, But we don't know. Well, I'm sure she knows that in her dream, but maybe the Anakin that she's seeing is the Anakin that she remembers up to that point, up to Order 66. I don't know. But whatever the response that she gave back to him about, we saw what you became, that set Anakin off. Anakin got very upset and brought her back to the world between worlds.
Does Ahsoka even know that Anakin sacrificed and redeemed himself?
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? Well, she would have to because Luke would have explained that to her.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it even came up. I don't think what would be relevant to tell a stranger is, hey, my dad died to save me, and he took out that one man who we all trusted for like 5 years.
Okay. Well, you remember that Boba Fett episode, right?
Yes,
where they
I do.
All right.
I know they met.
Yeah.
But did he explain that Anakin Skywalker sacrificed himself?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because she even remember she made this comment about, you're so much
just like your
father. Right. So Luke, what would be the point of the two of them, hanging out? if he didn't sit down and say, well, hey, my father did some bad things, but, in the end, he returned back to Anakin Skywalker. He was that Jedi that Jedi that he was trained to be.
Are you sure about that? Are you sure
I'm
about that, sir?
I didn't see it, but they have had to have had that conversation. Absolutely.
Yeah, but if we
let me know what you think out there.
It didn't happen.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't need to be explained. I think it's implied.
Once again, I think Dave Filoni's kind of got to unleash his inner James Gunn and just give us an explanatory tweet.
But I don't think he needs to do that all the time. I think
just say,
we're smart enough to put two and two together.
Whatever planet that was that Mando went to visit Purrgil, Luke sat Ahsoka down for some warm cocoa bean tea and told her all about what Anakin sacrificed.
I do think that conversation took place.
So he sat down for some root leaf tea.
Yes.
Remember when Yoda made that?
Yes.
Root leaf. Good for you, Juice.
All right, so then this
terrible it tastes.
Remember, this set Anakin off.
I feel like root leaf is like the Star Wars version of Whorehound. That tea is disgusting.
It probably is. I mean, if you saw Luke's face,
I should have smacked that cup when I had the chance.
He was testing Luke. Okay. Anyway, so now Ahsoka and Anakin are back at the War Between Worlds, and he asks the question again: do you want to live or do you want to die? And then they battle once again. Great lightsaber
still
battle.
Like, I don't want to fight you.
Right.
And Anakin's like, fight me. And I think Anakin deep down knew that Ahsoka, she wasn't going to fight him.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't going to die, and she wasn't going to die either. I think he knew that Ahsoka was strong enough to go toe-to-toe with him and stay alive.
And toe-to-toe.
Not necessarily win, because Anakin's still the most powerful Jedi that we know of.
Well, this is her dream, right? So she actually grabbed his lightsaber, his red lightsaber. All right? So once again, when he returned to the War Between Worlds, and you saw that flashback between Anakin and Vader, and then back to Anakin. and he's got the red lightsaber, and his eyes are blood red.
Yeah,
and he is angry.
It
and
wasn't
he's
even
going
a
after
jump
her.
scare, though.
Yeah,
it was funny.
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't funny, but it was like exciting to watch. And then she just grabbed his lightsaber and held it right at his throat and said, "I want to live. I choose to live." And at that point, she is saying to herself that she is a survivor. She's going to make it out. She's going to come back. And that impressed Anakin so much. We're going to talk about Hayden Christensen's performance in just a minute. His facial expression, when he goes from mean to when he goes from the light side Anakin to the dark side Anakin to the light side Anakin, his facial expression just changes. It's wonderful. Hayden Christensen, this is his best performance as Anakin Skywalker from anything else that he's done with that character in live action, including the prequels. This was his best performance. His facial expression just said it all. And then when she decided that she chose to live, and then you saw the light side Anakin come back, and he says to her, "There is hope for you yet." So you know that, okay, Ahsoka is back. And then she wakes up. She's still in the water. She gets rescued, and off we go. All right.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go back, rewatch that episode, and run exact calculations on how long each scene without Ahsoka was, and then I will assume that all of the time with all the scenes of Anakin and Ahsoka were just happening at the same time as the other scenes. And then once Ahsoka gets out the water, I'll stop the clock, I'll add it all up, I'll divide it by how long it takes for the average human to drown underwater.
Okay, why do we need to do that?
And then we'll see how probable this is.
Oh my goodness, she held her breath. She's a Jedi.
That's not how the Force works. Look, now we got force tracking.
It's called fantasy.
Water breathing.
This is called fantasy.
Like Kit Fisto could do it, but Anakin. Here's the crazy part.
Yeah.
Ahsoka in the Clone Wars needed a water breather when she was on Mon Calamari fighting those trade disputes because those shark men were fighting against the Quarren, who were fighting against the calamari. I'm pretty sure the shark man was a separatist.
Now, do you recall in the prequel, The Phantom Menace, right, when Jar Jar was showing Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon the underwater city, and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon had that tube or something that they put in their mouth to breathe, right? And they were able to swim.
Yeah, breathing. Anakin and Ahsoka had that in the Clone Wars.
Well, think about it. I mean, the technology must have changed so many years later because that resistance. Not resistance. The Republic pilot, was lowered down into the water, but she had no scuba gear on. But nothing. I'll
be honest, she wasn't down there long. Like
she held her breath. She was able to hold her breath for a few seconds.
It was about 20, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
They had already spotted Ahsoka by then, so all she had to do was go underwater, grab Ahsoka, get back up. So holding your breath for 30 seconds, it's not pleasant, but it's not the doable. Most difficult thing you could do.
I just thought she was what a professional. She didn't need any type of scuba or anything, whatever they have, at that time.
It'd kind of be a waste of oxygen to have scuba gear for a 30-second dive.
Okay, I got you.
If it were even cool. 2 minutes, then I'd be like, yeah, you should bring scuba gear. I don't think you'd want to be trying to breathe for 2 minutes, but...
Yeah, okay.
30 seconds?
Okay, let's talk real quick.
Forget about it.
All right, let's talk real quick about Jacen Syndulla. So this is something that interests me.
Oh, yeah, Jacen.
You want to talk about Jacen? Okay, so let's talk about Jacen. We're just moving over a little bit. You want to say something?
No, I was just going to say, can I do it?
Yeah, let's talk about Jacen. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that Ahsoka should train Jacen instead.
Yeah,
Sabine has proven herself unreliable time and again.
Yeah.
I'm not dissing Sabine, but I'm dissing Sabine.
Yes.
Honestly, Sabine's proven herself unreliable time and again.
Yes, we know.
And that she'll turn her back on Ahsoka in her times of need. And honestly, if a master Jedi, a veteran of the Jedi Order, is in trouble, you kind of want to save them. Mm-hmm. But she doesn't do that. But Jacen, on the other hand, He refused to leave. He used the Force to search the water for Ahsoka, no matter how long it took, and he waited with Chopper. He even came off the ship. So honestly, Jacen, who's never really known Ahsoka and held a conversation with her for much longer than like 10 minutes, is caring more than Sabine, who's known her for years and just turned her back on her. I'm not saying Sabine doesn't care. I'm saying her priorities were out of order.
Yes, absolutely.
She cared more about somebody who
she doesn't even know
been
could be alive
captured this entire time.
We talked about that last week.
Like
thoroughly, Keith.
Imagine Thrawn just called some backup and captured Ezra.
Right.
They did it to Luminara and Dooley.
Understood.
And they just kind of used her to lure in more Jedi.
Yeah. All right. And then, hey, Jacen clearly has the Force, so she doesn't have to train him to find the Force within him. It's already there. All right. Alex, do you think Hera isn't allowing Ahsoka to train Jacen? Yes, I do. Perhaps that's why Ahsoka is training Sabine and not Jacen.
I absolutely believe that Hera is trying to keep Jacen out the line of fire, but then again, she's put him into the line of fire herself.
Which is
she brought Jacen
we talked
on
about
this
that
mission
last
with
week.
an explosive hyperspace ring that literally took out 3 established X-Wing pilots.
Right.
What made you think bringing your son was a good idea? Could have even put him in the Phantom and had him behind the crowd, so should anything go wrong, him and Chopper can escape.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is very
or just redock and get out.
Now, we know that Jacen needed to be there, right? Because we know that he was going to help find Ahsoka.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have ever found her.
Right, exactly. Now, what's interesting is Jacen heard the clashing of the lightsabers. That part I'm lost with because
so
if this
did
is
Hera.
Ahsoka. No, Ahsoka did. No, Ahsoka. Hera did not hear it. No, I'll tell you what happened. I'll explain to you what happened. This is what a parent does. Here, so you think Hera heard it. She did not. What she did was...
I'm captivated.
Yes, good. She believed in her son enough to say, okay, she didn't want to say, well, son, I think something's wrong with you. I don't hear anything. So instead, she knows that her son is gifted, that he has a Force. So if he says that he hears clashing of lightsabers, was she going to disagree with him? Absolutely not. She said, okay, wow, all right. I don't hear it. I'm not going to tell you I don't hear it, but I believe you. And then that's when she ran off and said, okay, let's cover the area. Hera did not hear the clashing of lightsabers. Let's just make that clear, because that means Hera would be Force sensitive, and we know Hera does not. So she did not hear it. That's the story. Okay. But that was I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
I'm wondering, does that sound diegetic or non-diegetic? I'll explain to you what that means briefly.
Okay.
Basically, diegetic sounds are sounds that are part of the story. Like, for example, in Guardians, when Star-Lord puts on his Zune and he starts cranking out Since You've Been Gone, that music is diegetic because all the characters can hear it.
Correct.
But non-diegetic music is like the music we hear during fight scenes.
Like the score.
Yes. Like the instrumental tunes that we'll hear while, say, Ahsoka and Anakin were fighting.
Battling. Yes, I get it.
Now,
just
for reference, Jacen seems to be able to hear these sabers.
Yes.
I think maybe what Hera was doing is she's trying to focus, but, she's not Force sensitive. So she's taken Jacen's word for it, exactly like you said.
Yeah.
Honestly, that does make sense in a way, because Ahsoka and Anakin weren't actually having a lightsaber battle under the sea. I think that might be Jacen using his Force-sensitive abilities to just kind of pan out and scope for Ahsoka, and he's picking up on that. Hera's just trying to look like she's hearing it. Honestly, Hera has no relations to anyone who's Force-sensitive except her son and Kanan.
Right. Because if she heard it, she would have said, like, yeah, you're right, I hear it too. But she didn't. She just looked at her son, and then she ran off and said, okay, let's go.
Honestly, you're right. Now that I think about it, she looked like she was focusing, but she didn't say, I can hear it. You're right. She looked at Jacen, and then she looked back at Carson Teva that said, sweep again and keep going until you find her.
Right.
Because Jacen did that. But Sabine, on the other hand, she had the chance to destroy the map. I understand that they would never have found Ezra. But
No,
like,
understood. Okay.
she had the chance and she didn't take it.
Okay.
But Jacen, on the other hand, he barely knows Ahsoka.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've ever seen them on screen together at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And he is devoted to finding her.
Yeah, and that's why he's there. Okay. So Jacen, you asked the question. Do you think Jacen or someone else asked the question? I think it was Alex. Is the reason why Ahsoka is not training Jacen is because Hera doesn't want him trained?
Absolutely, because Hera's
yes.
probably trying to be protective of Jacen. She knows
Sure.
everything that
However,
Ahsoka and Ezra and Kanan went through firsthand.
However,
might be a Shmi spot. Might be a Shmi spot. Might be a Shmi Skywalker kind of situation though, where she eventually knows she's gotta let her son go and be trained.
Okay.
But honestly, I feel like it's safer to have Ezra or Ahsoka train her because she can still see Jacen in a way. Like if Ezra wanted to just pop back in and then say, "Hey, I'm here," or even better, I feel it might be more fitting for Ahsoka to train Jacen because once Ezra and Sabine are reunited, they're like brother and sister to each other. And Ezra's like, I want you to train in the ways of the Force. You don't have to be a Jedi. I just need you to train, do it for me. So I think maybe Ezra could finish up Sabine's training in the way that Kanan did for Sabine.
Okay.
That'd be kind of a poetic ending.
Yeah.
Ahsoka would have to let her Padawan go and in turn take on a new one, as Qui-Gon once intended to do.
I think that moment where, Jason's trying to get his mother to listen to the sounds of the lightsabers is a turning point for Hera. I think Hera now, not that she didn't know that her son was force sensitive, but I think she understands now that, okay, well, if I don't allow my child to use his gift, then she's doing a disservice to him, right? And I think that she would be happy with either Ahsoka or Ezra training Jacen.
Because she knows them and she knows they're trustworthy.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think she's going to come around. Hera's going to come around, and one of the two will train Jacen. Has to.
You know what would honestly be amazing, though?
What's that?
Is if we finally got to see Omega in live action. And maybe like in a post-credit scene and she goes up to Hera and said, "Hey, remember me from like 25 years ago? I'm Omega." Roll credits.
Roll credits. Anything's possible.
As Deadpool would say,
I would
roll credits.
I would love to see Michelle Ang play Omega because she has that voice.
Nobody else has Omega's
voice.
Right,
so she has to have that voice. Okay, so let's stay on target here. All right, I want to talk about. Okay, now I don't have. Yeah, I don't have a lot of information about this. This skill that Ahsoka has with listening to memories or understanding memory. Now I understand this is coming.
Comprehending.
Yeah, but I understand that this skill, Jedi skill, comes from the video games, which I do not play. I don't know. Well, that's what I'm told. So maybe someone out there may know. I'm referring to how Ahsoka was able to listen to Ahsoka's memories just by touching the last object. That Ahsoka was able to listen to Sabine's memories by touching the last object that Sabine had, which was that globe.
I'll say something.
Yeah.
I think maybe it might have actually been plausible in a sense. Up to the point where she just started point where she just started straight up hearing Sabine's memories.
Yeah.
It would have been plausible because there was a force ability that was established in like the Jedi Academy books and later on used.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
Where characters could touch items that other people have touched and then sense who touched it. Like, say, I don't know, I'm trying to think of two random characters. Han Solo took Luke's book bag full of ration meal or something. Mm-hmm. And then Luke had to find it and he found the backpack, but he wanted to know who took it so he could just touch the backpack and then use that to just kind of figure out who touched it. But you weren't able to view memories. I don't know if this is like some sort of Pokemon evolving of the skill.
Yeah, but okay. So,
make sense.
Like I said, I don't follow the game, so yes, I understand that this.
We got to get that PS4 and get that Fallen Order.
Not really. So it is in the game. However, I am also a Star Trek fan. And this reminds me of anybody knows Star Trek, the
Mind
mind meld.
meld.
Right. Okay. So, that's something that Spock does. I don't know if you know about this, but he can read people's minds, but he has to physically touch them in order to read their thoughts. So,
So it's
so it
kind of like
seems very
Professor
similar.
X, but
Yes.
contact based. Like how
Yes.
Professor X and Jean Grey are telekinetic,
Mhm.
so they can read memories. Like the whole Cerebro thing, they can like and read memories.
Okay. All right. So now
that makes sense in the sense that literally Marvel has an infinite amount of powers. Like Marvel and DC literally got together and said, let's make a character that can transfer himself to both our universes. And they made Access, who's like a sentry for Marvel and DC and keeps them from crossing over because they're different multiverses.
Alex has a good point here. So it says, per Wikipedia, Cal Kestis, Rey, and Ahsoka had used this ability.
Rey?
Now, is it Rey? Because I thought Rey had the healing aspect.
Yeah, I thought she had force healing.
Of the Force. Yes, force healing. Yes, that she can
Grogu
heal
had
people.
that too.
Right, but I don't know about reading a person's memories. But that's very interesting.
I don't honestly understand how that would work. Like Cal Kestis, I understand because from a video game perspective, it would make sense why he'd be able to have that ability. But other than that, I don't remember Rey using it. And Ahsoka using it didn't serve the plot as much as it would have. Maybe Balin just threw the map against a rock.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that would have been better if he just threw it against a rock and it split, but they were able to repair it instead of creating a whole new force ability just to solve this. Like, remember back in 2019 when they released the finale of The Mandalorian 2 days earlier so that we could get introduced to force healing before they put in Rise of Skywalker?
Yes, you're right about that. I forgot about that. That's very good. Wow. That's true. I don't mind these new force abilities. I don't
mind it either.
Yeah,
I
think
felt
they're pretty
like
cool.
we could have developed it a bit more,
or they could have given us a heads up,
shoehorned into the plot.
Yeah. But no, that's fine because actually Ahsoka used it in the second episode when she went back to the tower on Lothal and she was trying to retrace Sabine's steps. When she
Not really.
Yeah, well, maybe it was used in a different way.
I don't think she used it at all. The tower's kind of small. It was Ezra's tower at one point, so I'm sure she visited there before.
Yeah.
So, and remember, she walked into Sabine's room, and then the droid jumped out, and she cut its head off, and then used that as a memory bank to figure out how to get to Balin and Shin.
Okay.
So, she wasn't really using a force ability, like touching something and tracking, like that kind of Wednesday vibe. I feel like this has been done so many times. Like, there was
cool
Vibe, there was Gypsy, there was Wednesday Addams.
All right. Now, can we talk about the Purrgil?
Spock.
The Purrgil looked
Jean Grey
better than ever. All right. I am so impressed.
I dare anybody to step into this chat and tell us that those Purrgils were not looking good. ILM, I know you're listening. Please let me work for you when I turn 18. I would be graced in your presence.
Yeah. One thing I want to say about the Purrgil, I know we're running a little bit behind schedule.
We don't have a schedule.
Well, the Purrgil, it just seemed coincidental that they just showed up right when Ahsoka needed them. So I'm wondering, do you think Ezra might have something to do with it? Like maybe he summoned the Purrgil to help Ahsoka find him?
Actually,
what do you think?
I have kind of an idea.
Okay.
You know how Ahsoka was able to bond with Vader as a force connection? Like both Vader and Ahsoka felt it. They used that later in The Last Jedi with the kind of force Zoom call between Rey and Kylo.
Yes.
So maybe Ezra is doing that with Ahsoka, and that's how Ahsoka was able to, summon the Purrgil, because she wasn't previously able to, she wasn't previously able to communicate with animals. So maybe that's sort of Ezra's way of telling her, these Purrgils are safe. And she noticed, that's one of the large ones. Be careful or you're scare off the flock. That's something Ezra would say, like, put your lightsabers and blasters down. We don't want to scare these animals. It's not their fault they're upset.
Yeah.
It was probably their master. There was a comic book about this, actually, where Ezra did the exact same thing, and he tamed this herd of animals. And then the people who were running it, let's just say those animals went after them. We didn't see what happened, but I'm pretty sure those animals had a nice feast for dinner.
Yeah. It looked gorgeous when they got into space and they were firing up the hyperdrive and you saw the blue lighting in the back.
Oh, that was amazing how they lit up the
wonderful.
tentacles.
Wonderful.
Chef's kiss, ILM.
Yes, wonderful. And the
that
music
was amazing.
By Kevin Kiner. Amazing composer. Yeah, so it was wonderful. I think it was a wonderful ending to this episode. This is an episode that people are going to be talking about for many years to come.
I loved this.
Yeah.
This was awesome. Like, I felt like everything in the show just merged together and made this beautiful episode.
Yeah, and everyone came to play. I'm telling you. I mean, Rosario Dawson brought it. Hayden Christensen brought it. Ariana Greenblatt. I don't even know who this actor is. She just
until like 10 minutes
came out of nowhere,
and then I connected the dots.
Yeah, so it was excellent. It was excellent.
Especially
wonderful.
Jacen. He was selling it.
Yes, Jacen, Carson Teva, Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera. Wonderful. Hu Yang. What can you say about Hu Yang? It's just.
God, he is the best.
The show can't exist without Hu Yang.
Hu Yang is the best part of the show already.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta make a compilation where it's like Hu Yang being the best part of Star Wars for 5 minutes and 51 seconds straight.
Yeah. It was funny, Hu Yang, real quick, when Jacen is he's taking Jacen to see the Jedi ship. And Jacen says,
like, can you train me?
Yeah, no.
And Hu Yang's like, no. Can you teach me? Do you know how to build a lightsaber?
Yes.
Can you teach me? No.
But he will one day.
That's something you would say, Dad.
Yeah, exactly. Right. When he's ready. When his his mother has to give permission.
No, wait, that sounds more like Mom. No.
All right, so
yes, I know how to do that. No, I'm not telling you.
While we're waiting for final comments, I just want to make an announcement. There's still time to donate. All right, this is for Colored River. We've been talking about this for the last 3 weeks. Actor and content creator Catherine LaSalle, a friend to the show. We need to get her back on the show. And actor-writer Olivia Celine are launching a Seed and Spark fundraising campaign to produce an independent short film called Colored River. The tagline is, conflicted by a violent past and captive to a dark family history, a writer is driven to unnatural lengths to complete her final piece. So if you are interested in helping Catherine and Olivia with their goal, you can support them by getting the film greenlighted, giving them access to press coverage, and fulfilling their dream of bringing to life amazing works of super talented artists of color. All right. So if you're interested in donating, please go to coloredriverfilm.com, choose the amount you're willing to give, and then that's it. All right. So we ask you to support them. We already did, and we're looking forward to it. So we'll see what happens. All right. And then also we have an evening of improv. So there's a benefit to give to kids of the world, right? Our friend Mark Daniel, friend to the show, is a part of this along with others who will be there. So this is an improv. So Mark is a very fantastic comedian. He'll be there with others, John Connon, Robert Pignott, Lisa Glaze, and Carol Stein. This event is taking place on Saturday, September the 23rd at 7 p.m. All right. So if you're interested in hearing more about it, we have the QR code on the screen.
Scan the QR code.
And you can also contact us. We can provide you more
know
information.
when you scan it, so scan it right now.
Yes. And, if you want to contact us, we can provide you more information about a night of improv. All right. So
we're waiting, Charlie.
Any final comments? Yes. My good friend Kat's friends. Yes. Charlie, thank you so much. Yes. Good. Kat is a wonderful person. Friends Project. Thanks for sharing. Absolutely. Catherine she has done so much for us. So we're just giving back. So well deserved. All right. Do we have any others? All right. So this was, as we said, this was an exciting episode. We love talking about it. This was awesome. this is all. We could talk longer, but it's all already over an hour.
I don't think anything could top this.
Yeah. Well, look,
we might be shocked. We might be shocked.
So we got 3 episodes left. Still have not seen Ezra. No Thrawn.
I'm getting worried.
This is, it's the waiting is tremendous. And speaking of Thrawn, this coming Sunday we are actually going to do our character analysis on Thrawn. We're going to talk about his rise to power. I mean, he was in good graces with the Emperor, and he just moved up the ranks in the Empire. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about his arc in season 3 of Star Wars Rebels.
And then we can talk about, you guessed it, season 4 afterwards.
Yes, exactly. Season 4 will be a separate episode. All right. So thank you so much, everyone. So Keith, where can people find us?
You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, our socials, our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Fathers and Galaxy, website FATHERSONGALAXY.com. Check out our merch store, FATHERSONGALAXY.myspreadshop.com. And what else do we have? Patreon page, patreon.com/FATHERSONGALAXY.
Yes. Shout out to our patrons, Baraxium, John H., and Mary B. Thank you so much. Wonderful. We love you all, and we love all of you who attend the live streams, and just love having these conversations and talking and questions. This is what fuels us. This is what keeps us going. So please come back next week. Again, you can listen to us or watch us anytime, but please leave a comment wherever you listen or watch. Okay, so that is it to this episode, everyone. Thank you so much once again. So until next time, take care. And we will see you again.